Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Saturday, November 19th, 2016. Yeah, so if you hear some carts rolling by the pavements and all that, and the rattling, yes, I am at a supermarket, so what the hell? They got Wi-Fi, so I'm going to use it. I'm a paid customer, so I'm going to get a hard time. But around downtown area, courthouse and all that good stuff. So a lot of things are happening. So and hopefully things are going well with you. Yeah. So I just should have brought this up in my last episode. But what makes me laugh, there's some people I know, even individuals I chat with, are not really geopolitically inclined, but when this election came, they all claim they're experts. Like they know more than you. Oh man, and I know I love rattling cages, and I say use that with finesse because I remember some people say, "You vote for the third party, you put your vote on Trump." And you know what I said? Well, voting for Hillary Clinton is an endorsement to the Bush crime family, and that person like, "You're a full of crap. You don't know what you're talking about." I'm like thinking, you haven't been paying attention, haven't you? I'm not an expert and boldly admit that, but I've taken the initiative to do some homework thoroughly and in good faith. Not saying I'm tooting my horn or better than her or anyone else. Always have to have merit on your rhetoric. If not, it's pointless. But you know what? I just have fun. That's how it is. Just gotta go out there and just chit chat and mingle and all that good stuff. And I recently got myself a triple threat flag, which is a company based out of Texas. I thought I gave a crack at it, and it's pretty cool. It has the Gaddison combined with the 45-degree angle, like right in the middle, diagonally. One side's the American flag, the other one's the Confederate States of America, and of course has a gas in the middle. It says "Don't tread on me," called the triple threat. Chat with some good folks on that, and they appreciate my conversation. Like I said, I'm not here to offend people. Like just I wave it out there to express my views, and if they want to chat with me, hey, that's all you gotta do is talk. And I can like to always have a good honorable discussion. Doesn't matter what your views are because there's too many people like going like going on that rancid anal attack. How dare you? That guy's a hypocrite. And hearing that garbage all these years. So you know what? If you're gonna be a geopolitical expert, please have your merits ready. Because there's a lot of folks out here, right, to have discussions with from different views, and we share information. We don't like conscript it down anyone's throats. Oh, sorry about that little thing. Clear up my throat there for a moment. Nothing gobbled. But it's interesting because everyone's talking about the whole Trump transition team and people in his cabinet. And of course, you got a lot of folks out there who want to crucify the man immediately. They're like foaming at the mouth like Cujo's dogs. So, like I said, don't jump the gun. Criticize when it's backed up, not just go after him with the same old song and dance like a hamster spinning its wheels. So I get that from all sides. However, speaking of one of Trump's potential picks, just check this one out here. And actually came from Another Day in the Empire. Of course, Kurt Nemo. He used to be from InfoWars. He does stuff for NewsBuds. He does real great work. And it says here, Trump picks surveillance state advocate as CIA boss. As it reads here, President-elect Donald Trump wants Michael Pompeo to head up the CIA. So much for Trump's promise to get the government off our backs. Pompeo is an enthusiastic supporter of the NSA surveillance. All hail to police state. Exactly. He not only wants the NSA's bulk data collection program brought back, he wants a significant expansion. Yes, man. So you got You gotta stand up and put your arms crossed out and sing 1984. Go all hail the big brother with a big erection. You know what I'm saying? He also wants to kill Edward Snowden. That's Trump wants to pick another assassin. All right. In February, Pompeo said Snowden should be brought back from Russia and given due process, and I think the proper outcome would be that he would be given a death sentence. Can we say judge, jury, executioner? So what does Michael Pompeo climax over? Judge Dredd? I bet you have all these comic books sticky, that is. In January, he wrote, Congress should pass a reestablishing collection of all metadata and combine it with publicly available financial and lifestyle information into a comprehensive, searchable data. Legal and bureaucratic impediments to surveillance should be removed. That includes Presidential Policy Directive 28, which bestows privacy rights on foreigners and imposes burdensome requirements to justify data collection. So where does he go? He goes to Tokyo and learns from them. You know, because Japan is a big police state. When you really look into it, just look it up, man. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. All right, I'm not gonna lie about it either. Pompeo also wants to dump the nuclear deal with Iran. Sorry, Mike. The world's largest terrorist state is the U.S. government. He has ideas for Trump to integrate and deport Muslims. In 2013, during a speech delivered on the House floor, Pompeo said Muslim leaders who fail to denounce acts of terrorism done in the name of Islam are potentially complicit in the attacks. He wants to keep Guantanamo Bay internment camp annexed on Cuban territory open. Appointing Michael Pompeo to the CIA will make certain the war on terror expands and Orwellian surveillance continues. The alt-right is celebrating. The talk show host claims to be an expert on the Constitution. He does not offer an explanation on how the NSA, the Fourth Amendment, through a persuasive surveillance is constitutional. So, I want to continue on this. So, I'm going to hit this next one here. It came from the Independent.uk. It came out, I believe, yesterday. I think yesterday or today, one of those two. It says here Barack Obama won't pardon Snowden, and Donald Trump's CIA pick wants to execute him. Felix Garcia, as it reads, there is a very little chance President Barack Obama will pardon Edward Snowden before his final term is up, leaving his fate to an unforgiving Trump administration and an incoming CIA director who called for his execution. More things change and more stays the same, right? Absolutely. All hail to the status quo. Mr. Snowden has lived in Russia since he leaked documents revealing a secret surveillance program helmed by the National Security Agency in cooperation with major telecommunications companies. The Department of Justice charged Mr. Snowden with 2 counts of violating the Espionage Act of 1917. Governmental surveillance. Numerous advocates have called for Mr. Obama to pardon Mr. Snowden following a federal judge's ruling that the collection of metadata without knowledge of Americans under surveillance was unconstitutional. I can't pardon somebody who hasn't gone before a court and present themselves. Mr. Obama told the German magazine Der Spiegel in an interview published Friday. So that's not something that I will comment on at this point. That came from his heart and soul or a teleprompter. He continued, I think Mr. Snowden raised some legitimate concerns. How he did was something that did not follow the procedures and practices of our intelligence community. Edward Snowden comments on Donald Trump's election victory. But comments on Donald Trump's election victory. Okay. But according to the Supreme Court in 1886, while President Obama certainly has the right to pardon Mr. Snowden, the ruling reads the power of pardon conferred by the Constitution upon the President's unlimited except in cases of impeachment. It extends to every offense known to the law and may be exercised at any time after its commission, either before legal proceedings are taken or during their presidency or after conviction and judgment. Mr. Obama's suggestion that Mr. Snowden present himself before a court was significantly more measured than that of Kansas Congressman Mike Pompeo, Donald Trump's nominee for director of Central Intelligence Agency, who said that traitor Edward Snowden deserved the death penalty for his whistleblowing. He should be brought back from Russia and given due process, Mr. Pompeo told C-SPAN in February. I think the proper outcome that he would be given a death sentence for having put friends of mine, friends of yours who serve in the military today at enormous risk because of the information he stole, then released to foreign powers. Civil rights advocates have spoken out against Mr. Pompeo's appointment, addressing his position on government surveillance and maintaining the Guantanamo Bay military prison in Cuba. Congressman Pompeo's positions on bulk surveillance and Guantanamo Bay raises serious civil liberties concerns about privacy and due process, the ACLU said in a statement. These positions and other merit serious public scrutiny through a confirmation process. His positions on mass surveillance have been rejected by federal courts and have been the subject of several lawsuits filed by the ACLU. For his part, Mr. Snowden made a moral case for a presidential pardon in September. Yes, there are laws in the books say that one thing, but that is perhaps why the pardon power exists. For the exception for the things that may seem unlawful in letters on a page, but when we look at them morally, when we look at them ethnically, when we look at the results, it seems these were necessary things, these were vital things, he told The Guardian. I think when people look at the calculations of benefit, it is clear that in the wake of 2013, the laws of our nation changed. The U.S. Congress, of course, and the president all changed their policies as a result for these disclosures. At the same time, there has never been any public evidence that an individual came to harm as a result. So, what you see in here is how I'm looking at it. The stuff he addressed, I'm not surprised, is more of a verification presentation he did on being watched over and all that. And how's that jeopardizing the military? I'm trying to figure that one out. I'm being spied on like a bunch of criminals in the name of the war on terror and saying that September 11th made this happen. Please, you better have more merit. If he just come over, gets extradited, and goes to court, he has a title from a jury of his peers, and they can nullify it in good faith. So one thing for sure, when I hear all these expansions, Big Brother expansions, I gotta say this about Mike Pompeo. The hell with you. That's all I have to say, based on this information. But if I'm mistaken, I'll admit it. But here, he's unacceptable. All right. Well, next one came out yesterday, a couple days ago. It says here by We Are Change, by Danny F. Quest. It says here the rich are now begging the poor for help in India. Let's check this out. This article was translated in the Sydney Morning Herald. Combined with We Are Change source material, Luke Rudowski is on location. Delhi. Driver Raul Shamara, 25, remembers the exact day when his employers turned from a wolf into a lamb. It was November 9th when his employer called him Beta. Hindi from deer for the first time, the maid was asked to give him a cup of tea for the first time. I was shocked at this sudden niceness. It went on for 2 days, said Shamra. For the past 3 years, its New Delhi-based employer has been abusive, bad-tempered, and imperious, often demanding that he turn up work at 6 a.m. after finishing work at midnight. Damn. Talk about crack that whip, huh? He didn't even bother to remember my name. When he wanted to summon me, he called out driver, Shamra said. On the third day, the penny dropped. He asked me to deposit 250 rupees or $4,900 in my bank account on his behalf so he can get rid of his black money. Maids, drivers, nannies, and cooks in India are experiencing unusual politeness from their employers. Beyond the work they do every day, they suddenly have another use, to launder and undeclared cash, which the rich have been hoarding in steel wardrobes under the mattress and under bed storage. This sudden outbreak of niceness is the outcome of India's current crackdown on black money, income in the form of cash that has not been declared to the tax authorities. On November 8th, the day before Shamra's employer became a lamb. India Prime Minister Narendra Modi scrapped 500 to 1,000 rupee notes to root out corruption and force more Indians into the tax net. In one fell swoop, tens of millions of rupees that rich kept at home in these denominations became worthless. If they deposit the money, and the bank tax officials will pounce, imposing staggering penalties and taxes. However, until December 30th, each Indian is allowed to deposit a smaller sum of 250,000 rupees in such defunct notes in their bank accounts without questions being asked. This is why the rich need the service of the poor. Shamra and others like him have been implored by suddenly humble employers to deposit the amount in their accounts by the deadline to be returned to their employers later. I refused him. I don't want to get in trouble later if someone asks me how I got this money when I'm only a driver, Shamra said. Domestic staff and factory employers are going around with big grins, delighting in the panic and anxiety etched on their faces of the fat cats who never showed them any consideration, not to mention the delicious irony of being beseeched by their now squirmy masters. Modi's message in a recent speech, "See how I make the powerful suffer with you," have resonated powerfully. For once the rich are troubled as we poor Indians are every day, said Akash Atwal, a driver with a New Delhi car rental firm. In return for depositing the scrap notes, domestic staffs and others are being offered 10 to 25 cents percent as commission. Some have accepted, happy to pocket an unexpected windfall. Others, fearing trouble, have refused, and others have refused out of the principle that if some big fish have been caught, leave them wriggling at the time of the line. In the desperate in the desperation to get rid of this ill-gotten money, rich Indians are dumping sacks of notes into the river Jamuna in New Delhi. Some have made bonfires on their cash at some deserted place before running away from to avoid identification. Police have stopped cars filled with suitcases stuffed with 1,000 rupee notes. Their drivers rushing to distant relatives they haven't seen for years to ask them to deposit their cash. Some families who buy fruit from me regularly want to get rid of the 100,000 or $1,900 worth of notes by paying me in advance for the fruit they will buy over the next year, said Bruto Bitu Bharati, who runs a fruit stall in his uncle's in Lapat Nagar. Others, who are usually paid in cash, florists, beauticians, personal trainers, and presswallas who iron clothes in neighborhoods, have also been told they can have their services paid for 2 years in advance, so that affluent families can dispose of their expired cash. Then it's up to them to exchange the bank money at the bank. Some Indians are being too clever by half. A divorced man who had defied the courts by refusing alimony to his wife was seized with a new respect for the law and offers to pay her their arrears in the banned currency notes. The judge threw him in jail until he paid the new notes. Domestic staff have been chuckling while exchanging stories of what has been happening in the homes of their employers. Certainly, palpitations, wailing wives, altercations over how to get rid of the banned notes, profuse sweating, and pure despair. Chemists have reported chemists have reported a spike in the sale of sleeping tablets. Mumbai hospitals have reported a surge in panic attack, but some doctors are feeling queasy themselves. It's estimated that about 40% of doctors are paid in cash. I'm an ordinary man. I'm suffering hardship too. I was in a long creek on Saturday, but it's worth it. The rich need to be punished for being greedy. I'm savoring the moment, said the smiling Mohai Kishore, who sells fresh coconut water in South Delhi Street. In this video, Luke Radowski takes along in his travels as he broke like a joke in Goa, India. After the latest currency reset, we show the current situation in the ground of the latest economic, social, and political changes that occurred in India. So you can see the video yourselves. Hey man, you know what? Sometimes it's always good to treat people like human beings, not like pieces of garbage, because it will backfire one way or the other. I'm not too keen with government in general, but sometimes things happen and you're gonna screw around. It's gonna blow back in your face when you least expect it. And they're like, "Oh my God, I gotta be nice now." Should always show courtesy, regardless where you live. If you're gonna con somebody, you're gonna get burned. You're gonna be cursing yourself. It always happens. I just find it's pretty hilarious and to an extent. But hey, man, what goes around comes around, right? Okay, well, enough of that. Next one here came from Natural News. Came out today, by the way, and is by L.G. Devon. It's entitled "The Antibiotic Used by Previous Patients Means Hospital Beds Increase Risk of Infection." At Columbia University Medical Center in New York, researchers examined what antibiotics are capable of doing in the microenvironment surrounding patients. This is the environment we cannot see with the naked eye, the environment of microorganisms that is always interacting with us and between us. Dr. Daniel Friedberg and his colleagues took a closer look at hospital beds where previous patients had been given antibiotics. Researchers reported in JAMA Internal Medicine that antibiotics given to one patient may alter the local microenvironment to influence a different patient's risk. The researchers found that a common infection in U.S. hospitals that cause diarrhea, or Clostridium difficile, becomes a pervasive, and more deadly after a patient has taken antibiotics. Most shocking is that all patients who use antibiotics left behind a microenvironment that put a next patient at greater risk for a difficult infection. Okay. Using antibiotics puts others at risk. The studies show that using antibiotics actually puts others at risk because they destabilize the healthy terrain of ecology of the environment nearby, thereby depleting good microbes that help humans defend against infection. Dr. Friedberg noted other studies also have demonstrated that antibiotics can have a herd effect. In other words, that antibiotics can affect people who do not themselves receive the antibiotics. Friedberg and his colleagues investigate more than 100,000 pairs of patients and compare the microenvironment left behind by patients who were taking antibiotics. Their research ruled out any patient who had occupied the bed for less than 24 hours. They ruled out any patients who recently had a C. diff infection. After ruling these factors, the researcher found that 500 patients developed C. diff infection at the hospital as the second bed occupant. C. diff infections were 22% more likely to occur on hospital beds where the previous occupants had received antibiotics. When C. diff microorganisms are exposed to antibiotics, they left off an explosion of spores which spread on the hospital bed down to the floor and into the surrounding environment. The next patient who enters the room is thus more likely to be exposed to C. diff spores, said Friedberg. It is not easy to sterilize the room bed between patients because C. diff spores are extremely hardy. To be killed, they need to be soaked in a bleach-containing cleaning agent for an adequate amount of time. This is a significant finding since nearly half of patients in acute care facilities are on antibiotics. These antibiotics-ridden patients are literally vectors for disease, spreading infectious spores to others. Shortfalls of the germ theory and modern medicine's attempt to control microorganisms. The germ theory, which predates modern-day thinking about sickness, is the idea that humans are separate from microorganisms and that germs must be controlled. In some way, the germ theory is beneficial in helping us identify potentially infectious pathogens and in striving to maintain cleanliness and proper sanitation. However, the germ theory neglects the all important relationship that we have with our own bodies and our are our microbial environments. Our microbiome plays a central role in determining our relevancy towards sickness. In the term of the germ theory, we fear what we cannot see and use antibiotics to annihilate this terrain of microecology. The hasty approach destroys both infectious pathogens and the microbes that sustain a healthy ecology within and around us. As we damage the ecosystem terrain of good bacteria, we enable to embolden the power of infectious pathogens in the long run. As we try to isolate ourselves from microorganisms, we also divert our attention and energy from the important humoral factor that allows our bodies to relentlessly defend against pathogens. Infections try to take advantage of our weakened immunity, the chemical we inject, eat, breathe, drink, lather up, or suppress the microbiome glands and organ systems, interfering with the body's ability to assimilate nutrients. We cannot neglect what our bodies need to annihilate our microbiome and antibiotics, than to expect to remain well. Well, that's what I say, folks. Your health is your best investment. There's so much natural remedies out there that is a lot more effective than these antibiotics, and I've been telling that to folks for years. So that'll be your best bet. Can't always rely on these things. I'm real touchy on those areas myself. So definitely take care of your health. Please, I beg you, for you and your kids, if you have them, and the fat people that love you, all right? Okay, well, next one here came from antimedia.org, came out a couple of days ago. It says, why Russia just quit the International Criminal Court. Just days after the International Criminal Court decided the United States and CIA may face trial for war crimes over alleged abuses committed in Afghanistan, Russia has preemptively avoided the ICC's jurisdiction for its own alleged abuses, has formally withdrawn from the ICC. Under a directive signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, Russia has stated it will withdraw from the ICC because the ICC has failed to meet the expectations to become a truly independent, authoritative international tribunal, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry. Russia claimed the ICC was ineffective, stating during the 14 years of courts it passed only 4 sentences, having spent over billions of dollars, over $1 billion. Despite Russia's warranted criticism of the court itself, Putin detractors may have rightly identified some more sinister reasons behind the withdrawal, according to Foreign Policy. On Monday, the ICC's lead prosecutor Fatou Bensouda issues a report saying for the first time the conflict in Ukraine's amount of an armed conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It goes on to say that Russia's annexation of Ukrainian Prince of Crimea actually amounts on an ongoing state of occupation. Interesting there, huh? Further, Russia has been accused of committing war crimes in Hapoel and wider Syria over its military-heavy bombardment of opposition-held areas. Just this week, Russia launched a large-scale offensive in Hapoel, as well as in the Syrian districts of Homs and Idlib. It used it to recently deploy a flotilla of warships. Now, it has become clear that not even the United States will be immune from the ICC's jurisdiction. Russia's evidence made a decision to escape trial while it can. The decision to withdraw lends credence to the idea they are not adequately protecting civilians in Syria, and they may actually be Russian forces deployed in Ukraine. Despite its assertions to the contrary, the ICC faced widespread criticism for unfairly targeting African nations, and Russia is not the first to remove itself from the jurisdiction. It most likely won't be the last. It's interesting about that because I've read stuff about the International Criminal Courts, and one thing it really disturbs me is that they can try you again, and again, multi-jeopardy for the same charges. That's what I find annoying about the International Criminal Courts. That's by the United Nations. And you have to really like look at these areas for sure because sometimes it doesn't add up. And I remember they did a little trial too about what happened with Rwanda, and they found some of the people they found not guilty, all right, on genocide of the Tutsis, and there was a claim that doesn't really wasn't accurate in some of the cases. I would recommend go look up international criminal courts. You can really see it for yourselves on that. I think it's like Article 82 or Section 82. I could be mistaken, but trust me on that, my friends. You know me, I'm not gonna lie about it. Definitely, check it out. It's really interesting. That's why I'm not a big fan of the UN in general. They try to make themselves look good, but remember one thing: they should be war crimes on the UN peacekeeping troops. They're not doing that, right? All right. Well, so I finally hear some good news here. I'm making this pretty short and sweet. So, yeah, this one here came from Greenpeace, and when this came out, let me hold on here. It came out yesterday, I think it is, or yeah, it came out recently. It says here, largest bank in Norway sells its assets in Dakota Access Pipeline by Perry Wheeler. Greenpeace pushes the final institution to pull its loans for the pipeline. The largest bank in Norway, DNB, has announced that it sold its assets in the Dakota Pipeline Access Pipeline. The news follows the delivery of 120,000 signatures gathered by SomeOfUs.org to DNB by Greenpeace Norway and others urging the bank and other financial institutions to pull finances for the project. DNB recently indicated that it is reconsidering the loan it provided, which amounts 10% of the total funding. It's great that the DNB has sold its assets in a disputed pipeline, and it's a clear signal that it is important that people speak out when injustice is committed. We now accept DNB to also terminate its loans for the project immediately. There should be a clause in the lending agreement that deals with human rights violations, and the DNB should use to get its money back and end all involvement in the Dakota Access Pipeline. If they don't have such a clause, they must accept they have a bad contract and taken the loss. Greenpeace USA U.S. spokesperson Lillian Molina said, "The writing's on the wall for the Dakota Access Pipeline. People power is winning. The news that DNB has sold its assets and is considering terminating its loan is a victory for the water protectors who are fighting to stop this disaster of a project. All financial institutions with a stake in the pipeline must quickly realize that financing this project is toxic. It would be smart for them to get out ahead for the growing movement of customers looking to divest from banks that finance the destruction of our planet and ignore indigenous rights and sovereignty. Citigroup, TD Securities, Wells Fargo, SunTrust, and other banks are backing this project should see this as a sign to get on the right side of history. You can contact Perry Wheeler as well, and his number's on there. And it's some controversies with Greenpeace in general. Some alleged New World Order. I'm going to have to look that up a little bit more. But on a down earth point of view, I do like this a lot. Exactly. It needs a good run of applause, my friend. Things are happening. Just got to do everything by step. And hey, protect our brothers and sisters out there too. It is essential because if they could do it to them, they could do it to all of us. Doesn't matter where you live or what you look like. All right. All right, my friends. That is all for now. Thanks for listening, and plus feel free to download and share this episode, plus my many other archives throughout your social media network. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something interesting I may want to check out, hey, all you folks out there got music? Bring it, man. I want to check it out, and if I like it, I'll play it. Whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, or Scene.life. Or you could email me at LokiLuck3, which is all together, LokiLuck with the number 3, at gmail.com. All right, well, there's going to be no music for now, so I'm going to sign off. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.